Every year, Thomson Reuters carries out a survey on the costs of compliance and the challenges financial services firms expect to face in the year ahead. Susanna Hammond is a senior regulatory intelligence expert for Thomson Reuters and joins us to talk about this year's survey. 900 responses. That's a record number, I believe. Why do you think this one generated so many?
I think it's a combination of factors. And last year's report was downloaded more than 8,500 times by firms, regulators right around the world. And we have got so many things still changing in risk and compliance for financial services firms. There are big set-piece bits of legislation due to drop next year, MiFID, perhaps the biggest and the most well-known. We have the prospect of lots more regulatory change, and that's all woven in with increased personal liability. So I think firms right around the world, it's not that they've ever been disinterested in compliance. I think they've now figured out it's actually really something they have to focus on even more.
And it's interesting because you talk about there being this pivot point in their approach. What does that suggest in terms of how much they invest in this stuff now?
I think perhaps it's going to be better investment. In other words, looking at investment in the sense of, is this actually meeting our risk management need, our compliance need? In the wake of the financial crisis, there was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction where you just threw resources at compliance. Anyone who had ever had compliance ever on their CV promptly employed, because that was the answer to the question. The sense is now that actually perhaps that's not really delivering on good compliance, good culture,
sound
good
compliance.
Exactly,
Yeah.
good conduct risk management. I mean, the nuts and bolts of the black and white rule book, well, to be frank, most folks can do that now. It's the overlay, the culture, the conduct risk, the understanding the how as well as the what means that I think there's a refocusing on more seriously skilled compliance functions and the value add they can bring rather than just throwing warm bodies at a problem.
Also very interesting out of this one, regulatory uncertainty, given Brexit, given Trump, has been a theme.
Yeah.
But there's this contradiction that you found in this report. That sits alongside a decline in the expected rate of publications about regulation. Why that contradiction?
It's a very interesting one. We've sort of come up with two aspects to this. One may be the time horizon. The way we phrased the question was, do you think regulators are going to publish more in the next year? Now, in the next year, let's just call that 2018, we know the big set pieces of regulation that are going to fall. That's MiFID, that's the Insurance Distribution Directive, that's the General Data Protection Regulation, if you're this side of the pond. Actually, there's not much more regulators can really publish on all of that because we've mostly got it all already. The longer term time horizon, if deregulation truly makes a difference, and if Brexit means we have bonfire of the rule books or whatever the Andrew Bailey phrase was, if that really happens, that's more than a year away. So I think folks see regulatory publication is still going up, but it's the rate of increase in this short term has perhaps levelled off.
What's the latest on personal liability? Clearly this is a reality for all senior managers. What are the expectations for compliance officers in this coming year?
It's another levelling off, actually. I think there's a real degree of pragmatism beginning to emerge here because personal liability is still increasing right around the world. We have regulators talking about augmenting personal accountability. That's Hong Kong. We've got Australia talking about introducing accountability at a much more granular level. Here in the UK, we have the senior managers regime for banks. That's been there 18 months now, perhaps 2 years. We're expecting that for everyone in 2018. In the States, the Yates memo is still in existence and still in effect. So you've got all of those pieces. But what we're seeing is last year, so the 2016 report, 60% thought personal liability was going to increase for compliance officers. This year it's 48%. So we're only talking about a decline in the rate of increase, but it is a moderation again in that sense.
And finally, technology. We can't do a piece like this without mentioning technology. Can't do anything without mentioning technology these days. But what's the latest on technology's impact on the remit of the compliance function?
It's yet another way where the remit is growing, basically. For the whole population of firms, about a third said they were going to have to spend extra time looking at fintech and regtech solutions. Now that third expands to a half if you're looking at the G-SIFI population, so the really big firms. So you've got all of that focus and obviously the needed skill sets to look at fintech and regtech and how that's going to work in the firm. And then the other aspect on all of that is cyber. And about half of firms were saying that the compliance function now is going to be much more involved in a firm's cyber resilience assessment.
Okay.
You know, how vulnerable are you and what are you doing about it? So compliance, as ever, a bigger profession.
All right, very good, Susanna. Thank you for that. Susanna Hammond. Don't forget, you can have a look at our website, risk.thomsonreuters.com. You can see this interview, all the others as well. I'm Axel Threlfall, this is Reuters.